Hello, hello, and
Hi,
congratulations.
thank you so much.
So, to start here, what advice would you give to someone like me who does not have a jazz in their life and is convinced they can't dance for shit? What advice do you have to encourage me to pull it off?
If you want to, you can dance. I've seen it happen. It's a real thing. To be perfectly honest with you, you don't even need legs to do it. There's a beautiful scene in this film actually where you get to see um, a group of dancers with what people would, widely consider disabilities. Uh, it becomes their superpower, and they're able to do things with their body that, like I have two perfectly working legs and have been dancing for a very long time, still could never do. It's an incredible thing. I think that ultimately it's a matter of if you want to or not. I think there are a lot of people that are like, oh, I can't dance, but it's probably because you don't really want to. You don't have any desire to learn. And if you do have a desire to learn, it's just a matter of like putting the work in, putting the time in.
That is a very, very fair point that I'm going to take to heart.
Okay.
So I know you are a very talented dancer, actor, singer, you name it. But is there any skill over the course of your career, if not your life, that you wanted to learn, you thought you can never do it, and then you somehow pulled it off?
I have a habit of putting on new hats all the time, and if there's something that I have wanted to figure out or learn how to do, I if I love it, this is just kind of how I'm wired. I don't have an addictive personality, but I have an obsessive one. And if there's something that I'm like, oh, I really, really like this, this is really exciting for me, I zone in and I'm 110% into that thing. I started it was probably like 5 years ago. I decided that I loved wine to the point where I wanted to learn about it. And now like I've been studying it and want to become a sommelier and open a restaurant at some point in time. Like that's just how I'm wired. You know what I mean? I think that one of my, actually, if I had a genie and I had three wishes, one of my wishes would be that I was fluent in every language in the world. That would probably be like the biggest thing for me. And that really just requires the time and putting the time and energy into it. Like I'm know enough of a few languages to be able to kind of get around and bubble my way through town, but I'm not fluent in anything but English and sarcasm. So I would love to do that for sure.
I feel you on that. And this gives me an opportunity to do a shameless plug for Netflix. You got to go watch Uncorked.
Oh, I mean, listen,
So
Somme, Uncorked, all of it, all of it. I'm just ingesting it as much as I possibly can.
So, kind of on the flip side of that idea, Jake in the movie is in a position where his mentality is if I can't be the absolute best at it, then forget it. I'm just not going to do it.
Mhm.
Have you ever been in that kind of position where you can relate to that mentality?
No, because like I work the opposite way. If there's something that I
Mhm.
really want to do and I'm not the best at it, I don't stop doing it until I feel like I'm accomplished in it. It's part of being a three on the Enneagram scale. I think it could either be your biggest strength or your biggest weakness is just kind of zoning in and tunnel visioning something until you are red in the face. And that's kind of how I work. But I think that Jake worked really, really hard at something that he loved. And then due to a curveball that life threw at him with his knee, all of that kind of went away and his passion seemingly evaporated right in front of him. And how he navigates that, I think, is in large part due to the lack of people in his life that really encouraged him and inspired him to keep going at it, and to recover from this thing and to pull yourself out of the ditch that you have managed to find yourself in. And Quinn and Jazz and the rest of the ragtag team of dancers that they pull together help him through that and help him do that. And he feels that, and to watch that happen in real time, I think is a beautiful reflection on humanity in general.
Who's your biggest personal cheerleader?
My mom, probably. My mom I mean, from the day I was born, she's just anything that I've wanted to do that I've set my sights on. She's just been right there screaming for me and
I love hearing
helping
that.
me in whatever way she can.
I guarantee you, my mom will be the first one to like and share this interview. So I
Yeah,
totally get
love
where you're
that.
coming from on that.
Love that. Love that.
So you've kind of proven you could do it all. But when you're on the set of something like a feature film, like Work It, what is the part of the feature film production process that you still find the most challenging? Is it, big ensemble scenes, one-on-one dialogue? Is it the dance sequences? You name it.
It absolutely depends on the, just kind of the chemical balance of the people that are on set and what it is that you're tackling that day. There are certain sequences in terms of shot sequences that can be, remarkably challenging due to just kind of like pacing, tempo, the amount of dialogue that has to get done in one shot, whatever the case may be. It absolutely depends on the chemical balance of the people that are involved and what it is that you're tackling, which is why I love production so much. It's why I definitely a handful of years ago found a knack for just problem solving on set and trying to make something the best that it can possibly be, and in the most efficient way possible. The thing that, like, whatever that centerpiece is for the challenge of that day and how to navigate it has always been something that I love to do. And it's always been something that I kind of yearn for, to be honest with you. I say that the hardest days on set usually result in the best content.
I could talk about behind the scenes stuff all day long, but you are talking right now to a new Hamilton fan, because I didn't let myself experience it until I could see it in full. And thankfully that happened recently. So
love that.
What is it like for you, or what was it like taking over a role in one of the biggest Broadway shows of all time? Are you in a situation where Anthony Ramos has to give you some advice before you fully jump in?
Yeah, you know what's funny? It rarely happens, to be honest with you. It just rarely happens unless somebody specifically comes to you and is like, hey, can you give me some advice on the thing? Mm-hmm. It's usually just being led by example. That is always the biggest takeaway that you can muster from that kind of scenario. Ant is one of the most talented people in the world, in all ways, as an actor, as a writer, as a creative. He's remarkable, and really just especially in learning a role on Broadway, you're in a rehearsal space by yourself all day, with an associate choreographer, an associate director, music director, whatever. And then you're at the theater in the evening and you're watching the show, or you are trailing the person that you are replacing backstage. So you're basically just following them all around backstage, seeing what their routes are, their timing, how long they stay here, how long they go here, how much time they have in between this and that, blah, 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 blah. And it's just perfect in that way, because he's so chill and fun, and he's like, yo, homie, hey, so let's go over here real quick, and that's that's what you need, especially in taking something on like that. This was at the height of its popularity when I joined the show. It was, still like a concert energy every night. And the night that I went on, the other two guys that covered my role both happened to be on stage that night as well in different roles. Ant was in LA. So at that point, I was the only person in New York City that could play the role. And at that, you have to just kind of thrust yourself on stage and just do it, because you don't have another option,
They just threw you into the deep end on that one.
And that's what you have to do. That's what you have to do,
Thank you so much for your time today, and huge congratulations on Work It. It's a lot of fun. I'm going to watch it with my little cousin this weekend or next weekend. I can't wait.
Thank you. I appreciate it.